I think castles are amazing because they have survived for hundreds of years. This is one of the early Motte and Bailey castles, built by William the Conqueror just after his victory in 1066. This castle was built as a fortress and was besieged by Prince Louis of France. It was also owned by Thomas Becket, the Black Prince, and was a wedding gift for 3 of the 6 wives of Henry VIII. Geoffrey Chaucer of Canterbury Tales fame also resided here. This is Berkhamsted Castle in Berkhamsted, Hertfordshire, England. This video will provide a brief history, context and visiting tips, so please stay to the end for all the detail. I aim to visit and make short videos on many castles across the country in addition to my regular ones, so please like, subscribe and click the alerts bell for future releases. Thank you for watching Eclectic Experience, change seen through images. Berkhamsted Castle is located here in Hertfordshire, roughly 15 miles from Hemel Hempstead. On this map from Historic England, the red shaded area is the castle, which is a scheduled ancient monument. Interestingly, it was the first historic building to receive legal protection when, in 1837, the proposed railway line was due to go right through it, but the Act of Parliament that eventually was passed stipulated that the line should miss most of the castle. As we can see, it came very close, but that does mean it's very easy to access this castle by rail. The other building listed on this site is known as the Cottage and former soup kitchen, Berkhamsted Castle, and is a Grade 2 listed building. It dates back to the 17th century with a 19th century reconstruction. The castle has a fantastic website if you want to learn more, link in the description. It is administered by the Berkhamsted Castle Trust in partnership with English Heritage. To get an idea of age and key dates with some context, let's look at monarchs. This chart goes from the present King Charles III all the way back to 1066, where we start with William the Conqueror. This is when he accepted the crown of England actually at Berkhamsted, and then his half-brother built the first castle. Around 1155, Thomas Becket probably rebuilt the castle in stone, replacing the early wooden structure. In 1216, the castle was besieged by Prince Louis of France due to the actions of King John, who died just before the siege and was replaced by his 9-year-old son, King Henry III. The castle was probably most at risk again when the railways came in 1837, and this was during the reign of Queen Victoria, though at this time a gatehouse was demolished and the outer moat filled in. The castle itself, well, this is a classic Motte and Bailey castle built straight after the Norman conquest to exert control over the population. It has an artificial mound, or motte, and a bailey. The walls would initially have been built of wood before later being replaced by stone. It would be nearly 100 years later that Thomas Becket invested heavily in the castle, actually rebuilding the walls in stone, and this sign on the site shows how the castle might have looked in 1190 with its double moat and protective wall. It would have not been impregnable, but it would have been very well defended. As an aside, Thomas Becket would go on to become Archbishop of Canterbury and was said to have been murdered by 4 knights after they heard the king, that's Henry II, say, "Will no one rid me of this turbulent priest?" As with all things of this age, we don't know what was exactly said, but the murder happened. Henry II was incredibly remorseful over the death of his former friend, and Thomas Becket was made a saint. And his legacy here at Berkhamsted are these impressive stone remains. The castle, in the same way many castles did, declined and then at various stages was repaired. One person who assisted in the repairs was none other than Geoffrey Chaucer of Canterbury Tales fame, who in 1389 was appointed Clerk of Works at Berkhamsted Castle and other royal properties. However, come 1495, the castle was no longer lived in and fell into decline. It does not seem to have played a part in the English Civil War, where many castles were brought back to life, and it met a similar fate to many other castles when it was partially dismantled for use as building materials for other buildings, including, interestingly, Berkhamsted Place that's nearby, which, ironically, when I went to see what it looks like today, actually no longer exists itself. It was demolished in 1967 after becoming derelict. The remains we see today are in a pretty impressive condition, with substantial amounts of wall left intact. Interestingly, when visiting in 2023, some of the wall was fenced off for repairs. The repairs were needed because early repairs in the early 20th century had been made using cement-based mortar, which simply does not work on old buildings. Lime mortar is required to allow the walls to effectively breathe and slightly move, as they would originally have done. Visiting tips. The castle is free to enter, but the opening times do vary depending on the time of year, so it's important to check the website. The ground surface is mainly grass, and it is possible to walk round all of the Outer Bailey and also up to the top of the Motte, the mound, though there are a lot of steps, as we see here, and the grass can be muddy. It is, however, well worth doing both if you can, for the views. If driving, it's probably best just to park in the town centre, which is just over the other side of the railway line. And, of course, if you come by train, just walk out of the station and the castle is right in front of you. I have only just scratched the surface of the history here. I would strongly recommend reviewing the website before attending, as it has so much information. There are no facilities on the site, but the town, with everything it has to offer, is just a short walk away. Also, you get to walk over the canal bridge and see this view. This castle is impressive, but even more so when you're aware of its rich history and of the significant historical characters who have lived here. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Please like, click alerts for future releases and subscribe. Brought to you by Eclectic Experience. Change seen through images.